I've always had to
What's
say
up,
that.
everybody? Jimmy Faluca reporting with Frank. Frank, how's it going, pal?
Okay, very good.
We have a guest tonight, our friend Jameus from OWN. Jameus, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Always welcome, my friend. Just so everybody on the page knows, anytime you want to come on, all you got to do is message Frank or I when we're going to do a show, and Frank will post it on the page, and whoever responds, responds. Tonight, Jameis answered the call, and he is here with us.
James, how long have you been on the page for?
A couple years. Perkins showed me when it first started, so it's like,
Right. Where are you from?
the first few days.
Where are you from?
Florida.
Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, and I've seen you post. You do like you write for No DQ. You write
I
articles.
used to. I wasn't a big fan about how the site, like, maneuvering the site is just really bad, so I didn't. I left.
Oh, so how did that work? You could just submit. You could just submit articles.
Yeah, that's pretty much basically how it worked, but just the way you had to format everything and the way you had to write it just wasn't my style of writing.
Right.
I already got enough exposure from it, and I wasn't there for the exposure. I was there for the experience anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's like,
Good stuff, Jameis. Good stuff. Any articles in particular that you felt really showcased your talents as a writer? Any article in particular that the audience should go check out?
plenty of them. Are we talking just wrestling or in general?
No, in general. Any articles that you feel the audience should check out that you feel encapsulate your talent as a writer?
I've worked for 3 websites, and I have nothing but great things to say about all 3 other than my latest gripe. But that's the only gripe I have about the site. So it's not like I'm
Not a
just...
problem.
How long have you been a wrestling fan?
I'm coming on 11th year now. And I've
10?
just studied the sport since.
Wait. You've been a wrestling fan for 10 years now?
11. Almost 11.
Can I ask how old are you?
Almost... No, I don't want to answer that question.
Over 18?
No.
Oh, good. Jameis, who was your favorite wrestler when you started liking wrestling?
For at the time, what was current, it was Finlay. Don't ask.
Nothing wrong with that. He's a tough Irish bastard.
Love that guy still. And then
I know a couple of my
Mr.
friends.
Perfect is actually my first favorite wrestler.
I know a couple of my friends are going to get a kick out of that one.
Mr. Perfect is my first favorite wrestler.
Nothing wrong with Mr. Perfect.
And he's still top 5 all time for me, or top 6, top 10 for sure. Like, he just hasn't performed much.
Yeah, because it always boggles my mind when I hear somebody's only been a wrestling fan for like 11 years. Well, I've been watching wrestling like longer than you've been alive. That makes me feel like old and weird at the same time.
That's all right.
You're welcome.
What's that?
You're welcome.
Okay.
All righty. Well,
let's get started.
Yeah, let's get into what went on last night. Last night, ladies and gentlemen, was Elimination Chamber, and I have to say, I did not watch the pay-per-view live because last night was my D&D session. But I heard, and I skimmed through a bit of the pay-per-view when I got home because I had a feeling Frank was going to want to come on, so I kind of skimmed through the show. I felt the tag team turmoil wasn't bad. Thought it was all right.
I honestly... Can I say something?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I honestly feel like it just exposed everything that's wrong with the SmackDown Tag Team division. Because you don't have any, other than American Alpha and possibly the Usos, even with how they've been booked lately, you don't have any strong. So now you had an opportunity.
No, they don't.
You had an opportunity to either build 2 or 3 new ones. Well, not new ones, but like build 2 or 3 guys that like the Ascension or Raw villains that you've not really showcased much of, or bring in the Revival to spice things up.
Yeah, I
They
think
didn't do
I think that's the next step. I think the Revival. What they should do is bring the Revival up, and they should feud with American Alpha up until SummerSlam.
And let me tell you something: American Alpha and the Revival have had some really, really good matches.
So they have good
Dallas.
they have good chemistry together.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Because if you really look at it from an old school perspective, you look at the Revival. The Revival are a throwback to Arn and Ole Anderson, and if you look at the Revival, they remind me a lot of the Hart Foundation because you have one guy in Jason Jordan, who I know Frank is very high on, who's the power, but he's also very athletic, unlike Jim Neidhart. And then you also have Chad Gable, who's,
Bret Hart.
He is just an incredible wrestler. You know,
Jordan reminds me of Kurt Angle type.
Yeah, when I look at Gable, I think of Kurt Angle, not Jordan.
I'm talking about the body. His body. Jordan is built like Kurt Angle, and
Jason Jordan has single star written all over him.
I told James the first time I saw him that I think he's going to be the future face of WWE.
Well,
I agree.
I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with him being one of the top guys. I think both guys have something special. At least in my mind, they do. And it shows that they work well together. You know, I hope that they're a tag team for a nice long while, and then we get a feud out of them.
James, are you wrestling with your microphone?
Yes.
What's the matter? What's wrong?
Nah, just audio issues.
He's probably just giving him a hard time. Don't worry, he'll get used to it. I think after that, because I'm not really sure the match order. I think after that was Ziggler versus Apollo Crews and Kalisto. Ziggler attacked. What's stupid about it is that it's the heel that has to overcome the odds. That's what I find funny. You put a baby face in the scenario where he's got to overcome the odds. Here it's Ziggler, and the funny thing is the fans are behind him. You know,
thank you, Ziggler.
For all the talk that a certain someone makes on the page about Bray Wyatt and about this guy, you know, the fans seem to like Dolph Ziggler, but they've liked him for years, and not because of the company. In spite of the company, the fans still cheer the guy.
Yeah, that was the first time I could ever remember where the heel was outnumbered by the baby faces.
I don't know. To me, it felt weird. Like, really, why would you put the villain in the scenario to where he has to overcome the odds, and then you wonder why the fans cheer the guy?
I don't know.
They are ass backwards with their villains and their baby faces. I've been saying that for years. What do you have to say, Jameis?
I just thought it was stupid how Apollo Crews flat out cleanly won. I don't care if he attacked him after the match or not. Well, I feel should have happened, and I got this idea from one of my friends, Don. So it's like, but Apollo Crews should have done the Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase type thing with when they became a team, and had been Ziggler's secret partner, becoming the muscle for Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, you mean like turn on, make a turn and help Ziggler in that match?
Yes, because it give Apollo some actual character development that he's sorely lacking.
Well, I think the mistake they made with Apollo Crews was they brought him up too soon. You know, I'm a fan of Apollo Crews. I think he's a really good athlete for a man his size. You know, I would love to see him grab that world title, you know, and be the first true black WWE champion.
Should be Big E.
Oh, I even make the argument Kofi Kingston should have gotten that. You know, but we all know what happened with that.
Oh, no, I'm not going to
stupid. But yeah, I think that Apollo Crews was brought up a little too soon. You know, I felt that
talk.
No, he has a very what I think his problem is that, like I said, he was brought up too soon. He smiles way too much.
He's vanilla.
A little too vanilla, if that makes any sense. Afterwards, we had Natalya versus Nikki Bella. I could give two shits less about this rivalry. I feel like it's gotten way too much TV time, and it's ultimately going to build to where it gets blown off on an episode of SmackDown rather than a pay-per-view.
I'm going to say this.
Go ahead.
And this is no disrespect to her, Nothing about Nikki Bella makes me go, Nikki Bella's in this match. You could give her Lita or Trish Stratus as an opponent coming out of retirement, and I still would not care.
Listen, I know a lot of people get pissed off with some of the things that Henry says about her, but it's very difficult to say that he's far off. Let's be honest. Would she be in the position she's in right now if she didn't have her significant other? I doubt it, because there's really nothing to her.
Not only that, it's her whole strength is tied into the Total Divas,
which nobody watches.
I don't know. I mean, people
More
do
people
watch
2012 SmackDown.
Well, listen, I'm saying people do. There is an audience for that on what is the E channel? I mean, I've watched maybe 10 seconds of it in my life. I don't need to watch.
Maybe 5.
What's that?
Like I said, there's really not a massive appeal. She would have been better served during the era where women were eye candy. She would have definitely been something then. But in the era today where the women athletes have to be showcased because of their athleticism, she really has no business being in there, especially when you got women wrestlers like Naomi, like Mickie James, like Alexa Bliss, like Becky Lynch. And once Asuka comes up, let me tell you something. Someone like a Nikki Bella, run, bitch, run.
Well,
Asuka has to go to Raw.
I think that the Raw women's roster is stacked. You got Bayley, you got Sasha, you got Charlotte, you got Nia.
But they're not doing anything with them. I don't care if it's stacked or not, and I'm saying the same thing about SmackDown's tag division too. SmackDown makes it more interesting with less. Why are you going to give them more? If Raw's the least interesting show, give them something. Give the fans something to be interested about on Raw. They're already interested in SmackDown with Alexa Bliss.
Jameis, I think that if you've watched an episode that Frank and I have done, Frank has said this many times, Raw is not a wrestling show. It's a giant infomercial. That's all it is.
Raw is geared more towards the storylines. And
they're not even that good.
Yeah.
Which is the sad part.
And it's 3 hours. SmackDown is more wrestling. It's
NXT style.
It's what?
And why do you think so many people enjoy NXT? It's 1 hour. You're not oversaturated with the product. Number 2.
Yeah.
Number 3, you do get some good wrestling, and it's a long-term storyline. Long-term storylines are built up.
Yeah, let me tell you what I do actually choose to watch Raw live. Getting through the first hour is like, oh my god, it's tough. But when I watch SmackDown, I mean, it's 9:30, and I'm like, oh shit, it's almost over. And then at 9:30, the main event starts.
But let's see, what did we have after? What did we have after that? I think it was
Naomi,
Randy Orton versus Luke Harper.
Yeah, it was Orton Harper.
And let me tell you something. I did get a chance to watch this match in its entirety, and it deserves all the praise that it got. On equal footing with the main event.
Better than the main event.
With Luke Harper having a performance like this, where a lot of people are praising him. Can this be considered his coming out party in the fact that now you've gotten to see what the guy can do one-on-one?
Definitely.
Well, listen, I've always said, and it's evident, Luke Harper is a great worker. He's a great worker, and he was in there against Randy Orton, who's a great worker. So yeah, they had a great match last night. Very good match, you know. Last night's Elimination Chamber was all about the Wyatt storyline. So. Yeah, I think they should push Luke Harper. Luke Harper needs a makeover. That's what he needs.
You think so?
Have a lead up, Luke Harper.
Yeah, he needs a makeover. He just needs to just change. Like, I don't know. He did that beard and that dirty
a clean shirt.
Wife
starters.
What's that?
Well, then what? Well. All right. Since you're saying he needs a makeover, Frank, what do you think he could do to clean himself up?
I don't know. Maybe he could attach to someone else and just I don't know. I don't know, but I'm not writing for their show. Just do something where he snaps out of the Bray Wyatt trance. But they could always keep that craziness in him. Like you never know when he's gonna snap.
Like when he gets pushed. Like when he gets pushed, that crazy side comes out. I gotcha.
And he could always still be vulnerable to Bray Wyatt's brainwashing powers.
I hear that.
What'd be great is when he gets pushed, he's just Wyatt keeps the title at Mania, which reminds me, I want to get on the subject of Orton later, but that's a different story for different time. Wyatt keeps the title at Mania, and then shortly after he's celebrating with Luke Harper, and then boom, discus clothesline. Harper then snaps, and they have a feud all through the summer.
I would have no problem. I would have absolutely no problem with those two guys feuding over the title because you'd be guaranteed to have great matches. Because Harper's a really good worker for a guy his size, and everyone knows about Bray Wyatt. The guy, whenever he is put in there in a situation where he has to deliver, he delivers. And now, go ahead, Jameis.
No, go ahead, finish.
Now, I guess, is as good a time as any to get into the main event.
Well, hold on, I just want to say, and also Luke Harper's a pretty good. He could talk on the mic pretty good, right? I've heard that.
Oh yeah, he has said some really cool things on the microphone. My favorite line he ever delivered was when it was the Wyatts versus the Shield going into Elimination Chamber 2014.
Yes, that match.
And Luke, that you want to talk about a match of the year? I don't care what anyone says about 2014. Everyone knows I was happy Bryan beat Triple H. Won the three-way. The Shield and the Evolution had great matches. The best match of the year was the Shield versus the Wyatt family. No match could top it.
What did Luke Harper say? What was his great line on promo?
You three boys picked a beautiful hill to die on.
Okay.
I just got chilled.
So fantastic.
Because that is a great line. It's like that line that Harley Race used to use back in the day. If I hit him with my left and he doesn't go down, I'll go around him to see what's holding him up.
Yeah, but see,
listen, it's those subtle lines that get used in promos that can make a guy.
Yes, that's what they used to do in the old days. And listen, with the way wrestling works, the power of the pen is the most powerful tool. You got a guy like Luke Harper who's very good in the ring. He's tall, he's big, athletic, can talk. All you got to do is just do a storyline where he gets a makeover. Like it could be a comedy storyline, where he transforms and stuff.
What I want.
Well, I'll tell you what, it would certainly be interesting, and it would be an attention grabber.
Right? Don't we talk about creating new stars?
Nothing wrong with. I would have no problem with Luke Harper being one of those guys. Right. He's a good worker. He's a good talker. What else do you need?
You could make him a biker or something like that.
No, what you do with them?
That's better reserved for Baron Corbin, but yeah. I got no problem with that.
But you got no
problem. You make them build up a faction of guys that belong in that group. You could take Baron Corbin. You could take Luke Harper. Let's see, who else could we throw in there that would be good with them?
The Revival.
I guess you could take that because you got one guy going for the world title, one guy going for the middle of the card title, and then you got the Revival going for the tag titles. That's something that I think is sorely missing, and that's one of the things I'm excited about with NXT because now you've got Bobby Roode. Because now you got Bobby Roode teaming up with the I almost said the Powers of Pain, the Authors of Pain. Now they're Glory and Pain. I love Ellering as a mouthpiece.
Power Glory.
Yeah, would you say Power and Glory?
No, I said no. It's a Glory and Pain.
No, Power and Glory was
Power and Glory was a tag team with Hercules Hernandez and
Paul Roma.
Paul Roma.
I know that's the
joke. The manager. That was back in '91.
Paul Roma just did a podcast with Stone Cold, and it was pretty good.
Really, I'd have to check that out. And now
we know how Paul Roma really despises Triple H.
And he really doesn't care that much for the Four Horsemen because when he was a horseman, he was a flop. Certain incarnations of that horseman, I wish I could forget.
Yeah,
I thought Malenko was a good horseman, as was Benoit. I felt that the late WCW horseman was good. I didn't think they were on par, however, with the best incarnation of the horseman, which, in my view, was Flair, Arn, Tully, and Barry Windham.
Right. No, well, what Roma says is that Ric Flair didn't like Paul Roma because whenever they used to go out, he would take the attention away from Ric Flair. All the girls would start flocking towards Paul Roma.
They went out?
Yeah, I'm saying when they used to go out.
Which actually contradicts what he said on the Four Horsemen DVD. He turns around and he says, I wasn't the kind of guy that would go out and party. Meanwhile, now he's saying that he was.
No, I'm saying when he did go out with them, he says that he would steal Ric Flair's shine. And he's saying Ric Flair.
Well, that doesn't really surprise me. The guy was like 20 years younger than him, was in much better shape. Of course he did.
Yeah, he's saying that Ric Flair had to climb up on the bar and dance naked and stuff like that. And all Paul Roma had to do was just walk into the place and the girls would flock to him.
Good for him.
You know Ric Flair would do that, right?
He did. He used to do that.
Flair didn't give a shit. Flair did what he had to do. I got no problem with Nate. Good for him. He's the best world champ of all time, as far as I'm concerned. And it ain't because he danced on a bunch of tables. It's called Our Broadways and Making Star. On the one episode Larry was on here, he made a statement about Ric Flair that I think is 100% true, and that's why, to me, Flair is, in terms of being a world champion, is the GOAT. Flair's entire career is predicated on the amount of people that are over because of him.
Right. Jameus, do you think Ric Flair's the greatest champion of all time?
Champion, I'd have to agree. Ever? No.
No, the greatest of all time, in my view, is Stone Cold Steve Austin. No one left a bigger impact on the business than him. The only close second by an inch is Hulk Hogan.
I still think Hogan did more than Austin. Like,
nothing wrong with that. He did revolutionize two different eras of the business.
Because, here's the thing. Without Hulk Hogan, you don't get to the Monday Night Wars. And without Hulk Hogan, the Monday Night Wars still don't happen. So while Austin revolutionized one era, I should say, Hogan revolutionized the two single biggest eras. Both revolved around him.
Right, the two golden eras of wrestling.
Well, Jameis makes a very good point. He makes a very good point. If we're going to go by that, then yes, Hogan is the GOAT. If we're going to go by dollars and cents, who made the most money, it's Steve Austin. That's just the two different planes we're talking on. But if it is in the record book that Hulk Hogan goes down as the greatest, you're not going to get in the argument.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on. Hulk Hogan's run went from 1983 to like 2005?
Yes.
I mean, Stone Cold.
1970s.
Yes. No. Hulk.
You mean his prime, big?
Yeah.
Big
I mean,
Hulk Hogan.
he would wrestle hotter than
from 84 to 91. No one was hotter than Hulk Hogan except me.
Yeah,
Macho Man periodically. And the Ultimate Warrior.
Well, maybe you could throw 1983 in there because not only was he in the Rocky III movie, he was also he was fighting for the belt.
That's my favorite actor ever.
He was in AWA in 1983. That's when Hulkamania was really born. In AWA.
Yes, it was. And all Vince really did was take what was going on in the AWA and use it on a bigger scale. If Vern Gagne would have...
Mid-Atlantic, too. He pulled both Valentine and Piper from Jim Crockett and capitalized on that. He brought
everybody. He took anyone he could get.
He brought in Jim Duggan from Mid-South, DiBiase from Mid-South, JYD from Mid-South, capitalized on JYD's popularity.
Bobby
and that's why I think
AWA. Gene Okerlund.
Vince gets miscredited because nobody saw an opportunity and made more out of it and capitalized on every little thing than Vince McMahon did when he was taking over pro wrestling. And that's why it worked.
Right. And yeah.
No, the reason it worked is because Vince took as many of the big names that he could get and put them all under one promotion. And he went global. That was a very smart move.
Right. He made an all-star promotion.
the business is feeling it today. When the territories went away, the training ground went away, and you have a very inexperienced roster that isn't able to get over. That's why the territories work so well, because a guy like a Jerry the King Lawler base himself in Memphis, become a big deal, go to different territories and be that villain. Why do you think Ric Flair made so much money in pro wrestling in the 80s? Because he could go to any promotion, wrestle their top guy, make it look like he belonged to be in the ring with the champion, and then come back and have a sellout. That's how it worked back then.
Right. Nobody was in the same territory for more than 2 years.
Not at all. And if you and you want to know something, it was a good thing for the simple fact of if you got stale, the fans were able to get a break from you. So that way, when you came back, you got a hero's welcome. It's like when Ricky Steamboat left the NWA and went to the WWF. When he went back to the NWA, he got a hero's welcome, and then he had those 3 legendary matches with Ric Flair that people to this day still ramp and rave about. And before WrestleMania 25, when Shawn Michaels lost to The Undertaker, that last match between Flair and Steamboat in Nashville, Tennessee, the final match was considered by many the greatest match of all time. But then Undertaker and Shawn Michaels changed everybody's minds with that. But let's get to the main event of Elimination Chamber that took place last night. Okay.
Oh, wait, we're not going to talk about Naomi winning the title?
Oh, shit, that's right. Oh, my God, I apologize. Naomi did face Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I did not
I wanted Alexa Bliss to be this year's Fabulous Moolah and hold the belt for 2 decades.
What? What'd you say?
What'd you say, that wasn't clear.
I wanted Alexa Bliss for 2 decades and be this era's Fabulous Moolah.
You wanted her to be this era's.
Listen, Alexa Bliss is good, but they're not going to keep the belt on it that long.
No, well, the story is because WrestleMania is going to be in Naomi's hometown, so that's.
I'm going to be there.
Oh, are you?
I have tickets for the entire weekend.
Where is it? In Houston?
Oh, it's in Orlando.
Orlando, okay, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's the backstory.
So you enjoy yourself when you go to Mania, Jameis. Take a bunch of pictures for the page.
I will. I'm meeting a couple of people on the page now.
Mazel tov to Naomi. Glad she was able to get that win.
And then hold on. Let's not gloss over the elephant in the room here, James.
What's the elephant in the room?
About the topic I brought up yesterday about Triple H posing with all these with every new champion.
Oh my God, are we really gonna get into this, Frank?
Davis, did you?
Dude.
All right, and I'm gonna answer with the very last comment that I made in that whole thread, and this is how I'm gonna put it, Frank, and it makes sense. Here's why I don't really care that he does that. A lot of the people he does that with came from NXT. If they flop, it's a reflection on him, not just them. Yes, Triple H has an ego as big as Vince McMahon's throbbing boner for John Cena.
As big as his own nose.
Yes.
It's big.
Yes. Triple H has an ego bigger than his nose, bigger than Shawn Michaels' ego, which is pretty fucking big. He's got a bigger ego than Vince. Do you really? And listen, I'm not going to get into politics, but I'm going to make a comparison to Trump. Trump has a massive fucking ego. Do you really think he wants to go down in history as the worst to be in his position? No. And that is why today in 2017, Triple H's ego works to our advantage. Triple H wants the Bray Wyatts to succeed, the Kevin Owens, the Seth Rollins, the Dean Ambroses, and the Roman Reigns. Of course he wants them to succeed because they came from his training ground, and if they flop, he looks like a schmuck.
All right, but wait a minute.
Mojo make them look like a schmuck.
I'm sorry?
Mojo.
Because Mojo Rawley's a comedy act and nothing more.
Not
everyone that comes out of NXT is going to be a main event level star. Not everyone can be a main eventer.
3 years
And I
ago.
tried telling people
Raleigh,
that.
he
I like
was
Mojo.
know of today.
Yeah, no. 3 years ago, they had Mojo Rawley penciled in as the next John.
Whoever thought that was on some serious
But
weed.
wait, hold on, wait a second. Hold on, let's get back to this Triple H. Okay, so because he had these guys at NXT, so does that mean going forward, every 95% of the people are going to be coming from NXT? So that means he's going to pose with everybody from NXT from now on.
I don't know, and it really doesn't matter to me if he does.
And you're saying,
as long as these characters are booked correctly and are kept strong and are made to be important, do you really care if Triple H feels that they owe him everything?
wait a minute.
I don't.
What about shouldn't William Regal be posing with these people, or?
But William Regal's not the one that signs them, or like.
But James, how hard is it to sign somebody?
I mean, if it's someone like AJ Styles, I'd assume pretty hard.
If I told you Nakamura was a free agent, would you sign him to your promotion?
I don't think that's a good question because not every free agent's going to be the caliber of a Shinsuke Nakamura. For example, like, on one hand, you could be Robinson Cano. On the other hand, you could be Mason. Both the free agents, which one are you going to sign? Do you know how hard it is, especially if that other second baseman has an ego, to sign them?
Yeah, but there's only one place to work. The WWE is the major leagues.
I personally think that statement is just cop-out. It's not the only place to work. There are several other wrestling promotions, and you want to know the funny thing?
NJPW?
You want to know what the funny thing is? If Daniel Bryan wasn't forced into retirement and was allowed to get out of his contract and go wrestle on the Indies, he would make a killing on the Indies. A killing he would make. Like Kevin Owens, when he was on the Independents, was one of the highest paid wrestlers in the world. He was making a six-figure salary. Same thing with El Generico. Same thing with Shinsuke Nakamura. That there is a perception that WWE is the only place where you could wrestle. It's not true. It's just not true.
Okay. So why are they all in WWE now?
Because that's the place where most wrestlers get their notoriety from. That's where they want to go.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're the only place to.
No,
to
I'm saying that's the major leagues. That's where you get exposure.
And that's usually also where a lot of talents get their shit kicked in, and they don't get most of them get hired with the mentality already instilled in them that they can only go so high.
That's true, I guess. James, you there?
I'm here.
You're freezing up.
Oh, it's working good on my end.
Okay.
It's working good on my end. To me, the major leagues is where if you're doing better than you're expected, you're rewarded, not punished. We talked about this on our last episode, Frank. Let's say the Mets have to bring somebody up from the minors, because one of our guys gets hurt. If that guy's hitting home runs left and right, are they going to punish him or are they going to reward him?
No, you're right. You're right.
Well, if he's Chris Carter batting .220 and leading the NL in home runs, he still bats .220.
Well, what I'm saying is, if a guy comes from the minors because someone got hurt and we have to fill his position, and that guy's just producing like an animal, he's exceeding expectations, not meeting. He's exceeding. Are you gonna punish him or are you gonna reward him? You're gonna reward the guy.
Reward him.
That's the exact opposite of how WWE is. How many guys over the last couple of years got themselves over, got the audience to care about them, and then Frank, how do you always put it? The rug gets pulled out from under them. It makes no sense. And after I say this, I want to move on to the last match. If WWE had competition that could put them out of business, that mentality would not be in place. If guys were getting over, guys were producing well, they would be getting pushed and rewarded instead of sabotaged.
Well, at the very least, they would try.
At the very least, they would be. Undertaker wasn't always the main event, but that guy was never, and I mean ever, treated like a joke.
They would try different stuff. They would be more apt to try different stuff.
Absolutely. You think the Attitude Era was all Stone Cold and The Rock? No. You had Stone Cold, you had The Rock, you had Taker, you had Kane, you had Mick Foley, you had
Triple
Triple H,
Kurt Angle.
you had The Big Show, you had all the tag teams. You notice that everyone back then felt like a star?
So are we saying that nobody back then got buried, or?
No, what I'm saying is the talented ones that got themselves over didn't get punished. If a guy got the only guy I can think of from the Attitude Era that was hurt for getting over was Taz. Because when that guy came out to the massive reaction he did in MSG, after that you never heard about him anymore.
No, I don't know, not really. Just
maybe it was because he got hurt. I heard rumors that he got hurt. I don't know for sure. Because I know the Dudleys came from the same promotion he did, and they ended up
pushed to the moon.
I think that what limited Taz was his height. That's what it did. But Vince has gone on. Vince went on to say on record that he enjoyed Taz's work. That's why he signed them. But it all had to do with Taz's size. That's what.
Which is a shame because Taz was a fucking wrecking machine. He was a legit badass.
I know, but he's like 5'9", and when you go up against
I'll never forget.
Tell that shit to Mad Dog Vachon. Mad Dog Vachon was about 5'8" and could whip anyone short of Brock Lesnar.
I'll never forget. It's SmackDown. Taz had just won the ECW title back. And he comes out to face the WWE Champion. He's my favorite of all time.
Triple H.
Triple H looks like the Great Khali next to Taz.
No, I know. No, that was good though. I remember that match. That was pretty good.
That's where most people misunderstand me when it comes to Triple H. As a talent, you are never going to hear me say he didn't pull bullshit. Because Kane, for those of you that don't know, Kane was slotted to receive a very, very high honor in 2002. He was the Intercontinental Champion and the Tag Champions with the Hurricane. Shane McMahon was pushing very hard for Kane to win that match at No Mercy. Because how Shane put it was, Glenn's been with us for a while through so many different incarnations. He's always been loyal to us, even if it's for one night. Let's give him the world title. He'll have all three belts at once, and he could just lose it back to Triple H at the next pay-per-view or the next Raw. Because they were retiring the IC title at that time to begin with, so Kane technically would only have two belts, but they felt Kane deserved it. The second Triple H and Stephanie came back from that WrestleMania 19 press conference, that idea was nixed.
Yep.
You don't think that was bullshit? Of course it was. Same thing with Booker T. But the way the storyline was built at WrestleMania 19, Booker T should have won that belt.
RVD's
another guy. Was massively over, and they never really pulled the trigger on it.
That's because of Triple H.
See, as a worker, Triple H is very bad for business because he's going to look out for himself. But as an executive, he is very good for business because unlike Vince, this is going back to that NXT special they had where it was Triple H, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sasha Banks, and Bayley all sitting, and they were just taking questions. And Triple H made this statement, and it makes me believe that a lot of the shit he says about the fans, he doesn't mean. He's trying to appease his wife and his father-in-law. He turned around and he said this, listen, a lot of things get over in NXT that I never envisioned getting over, but when they do, I use more of it because if that's what you guys like, that's what you like.
Of course. That's not
You notice that that's not used on the main roster? Because who has the final fucking say on the main roster?
All right, so wait a second. Wait a second then. So Seth Rollins won the title. Finn Balor won the title. Kevin Owens won the title. Daniel Bryan won the title. And now Bray Wyatt won the title. So who made the final decision on those guys?
I understand that he made the final decision.
Who made the final decision?
I understand that Vince made the final decision, but look at all those title reigns. It's like, okay, you think they wanted Rey Mysterio to be the champion? No. Vince didn't want him as the champion, but it made the most sense. And if you don't believe me that he didn't want him to be champion, look at Rey's title reign. It was a fucking joke.
Well, yeah. Rey was.
No, that's something that I think needs to be addressed.
But Rey Mysterio is not realistic to be a heavy.
I understand that, but if the guy wasn't going to be booked as a credible champion, you should have never had the belt. That's simple. If you're not going to treat a guy like a champion, don't put the title on him. It's like, and I'm going to go through the guys you just mentioned. Seth Rollins. During that entire title reign, he had one match that made him look like a champion. The rest, he just looked like a chicken shit bitch. Look at Kevin Owens. Since he's won the Universal title, the only time that guy looked like a legit threat was when he had that one-on-one match with Sami Zayn on Raw where he went over clean with the powerbomb. That's it. And Daniel Bryan, we can't really say what his reign would have been like because he got hurt, but I can tell you they definitely were going to have him be the one to get squashed by Brock Lesnar because no one's going to tell me that he wasn't going to get squashed. And I'm sure the true marks would have celebrated with that. So, yes, Vince does okay those title reigns, but you see how he really thinks of them by how those title reigns progress, Frank. Do you understand what I'm saying? Jameus, is Frank still with us?
No.
I guess Frank went to get a cigarette, but that's what I try to say. Yes, Vince is the final say, good and bad. He made the final decision on these things to happen, the title reigns to begin, but he was also the final say-so to make those title reigns look like shit. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen with our new champion. And let's get into Frank. Did you get everything I just said? Frank's microphone's not working.
I'm sorry.
Frank, your microphone's not working.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you perfectly now.
Yeah, I'm saying.
I know.
Oh, you don't hear me?
I hear you now.
I do.
Oh, no, I'm saying, yeah.
How would I know you said it?
All those guys we just mentioned, yeah, they maybe don't get booked strong because we know they want to keep Cena and Reigns strong. But
Orton.
Not really Orton, but I'm saying they at least give these guys the opportunity. How many guys in
How
the
do you
company
consider it an opportunity when you're booked to look like a loser? That's not an opportunity. That's a half-assed bullshit opportunity.
Wait a minute, well, okay, let's just take Kevin Owens. He's held the title now for what, almost 8 months?
Okay, and has that title?
How many guys are there that have never held the title?
But that's not the point, Frank.
What do you mean? We just talked about all these guys: Big E, Kofi Kingston, Cesaro.
Your drawing power is based on your credibility, Frank.
Right, but I'm saying
at the end of the day, it's a business. At the end of the day, the business is about making money.
Kevin Owens has gotten over with his by entertaining with Chris Jericho. That's where he's been getting over, and he does win the big matches on pay-per-view, even if he has hope or not. It's right now.
But do you not understand that eventually that does hurt him as a character?
Maybe, but they could erase that easily once he comes out after he loses.
If you look at his run as NXT champion and you look at his run as Universal champion, it's night and day.
Yeah, but James, I keep telling you, NXT is different. They have to build these guys. They have to push these guys to the moon in NXT to make them credible to go on the main roster.
But they're supposed to be credible on the main roster too. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're just spinning. You're not making the guys bigger stars. All you're doing is spinning your wheels.
Yeah, but wait a minute. What happened when Kevin Owens debuted on WWE, and what did he do?
Oh, God, we're always going to go back to that one big victory.
But listen, that's what
and then what did they do afterwards, Frank?
I know, but it's that last.
Come on.
I know. I understand what you're saying. I understand, but it's
unbelievable.
No, but listen, I'm telling you, it's what they do in the beginning when somebody debuts. It's that. What do they say? First impressions count, right? Right or wrong?
This is a waste of time.
He's right.
It's a waste of time.
Listen, first impressions count. What would have happened if Kevin Owens in that first match you could see?
Frank, no disrespect. All the legends that we've enjoyed over the years, if they lost all the big matches, they would be nobodies.
I know, but I'm telling you
how the hell could anybody expect any of the guys from today to be worth a damn?
Hold on.
You can't expect any of the guys today to be worth a damn if they're not treated exactly the same way.
I know. Yes, you're right. But,
it's like someone expecting Bray Wyatt to have the same presence and drawing power of The Undertaker without not even 50% of the protection for the character, winning where it matters the most. It's like, okay, you've made the case before about Ric Flair, Mick Foley, and Chris Jericho. Big money drawing guys, right? They're big time names, correct?
Yes.
And it didn't hurt them to lose a little bit, right?
Yes.
But that was because they had their legacy to fall back on. Kevin Owens does not have that. Bray Wyatt does not have that. So it's apples and oranges. You can't.
James.
Let Jameis talk. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna go back to something you said earlier. If they were nobodies, if they had lost those big matches, I'm gonna give you a couple examples here.
Okay.
Hall of Famers examples.
Okay, I'll give you Hall of Fame examples. I'll give you the greatest of them all in my mind. The Undertaker. The Undertaker.
I'm gonna give you someone even more similar to Jake Roberts. Not Jake Roberts, to Bray Wyatt. Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts, what big wins did he get? He lost a majority of his big matches, if not all of them.
That's not really. That's not really so. That's not really so. He won the big names, the really big names, won the matches where it mattered the most. Yes, Jake wasn't a champion. He was not that. He was one of the guys like Roddy Piper who didn't. Most of the time, he wasn't competing for titles. He was in rivalries with guys, and they would come out on top most of the time.
But I think his booking is very similar to Bray Wyatt's because similar characters.
Jake Roberts wasn't getting beat by established guys year after year after year, and that's
yes, he was.
To me, that's the
Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage.
They were on the same level, though.
You just said he wasn't getting beat by established guys.
Yes, established guys. Okay, let me see if I could describe this correctly. If you're in the era of Jake Roberts, Ravishing Rick Rude, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, the establishment is Superstar Billy Graham, Bruno Sammartino, Haystacks Calhoun. If you're in the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels era, the establishment is Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. If you're in the Attitude era, and you're The Rock or Stone Cold, the establishment is Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. You understand what I'm saying? The guys from today, like Kevin Owens is about to be in 2 weeks, is going to get killed by Bill Goldberg. That is a disgrace.
Utter garbage.
It's a disgrace.
I'm hoping they pull no way out over.
But then, in the same breath, you'll have people say, oh, it's a good thing they don't put Kevin Owens in the main events because he doesn't draw money. Well, no fucking shit he don't draw money because he loses all the fucking time. And when he does win, it's because he always needs someone to hold his hand. I'm sorry.
But listen,
you draw based on your credibility. That has how it has always been. That's how it's always going to be. And once the legends are no longer around, this company is going to feel it big time. Believe me.
No, yeah, yes and no. But look, listen, you got to follow the storyline. Goldberg just came back and squashed the Beast, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think now it's credible that Kevin Owens is going to turn around and beat Goldberg?
They shouldn't even be wrestling each other.
But they have to.
No, they don't. It's not necessary. Because what does that do for Kevin Owens? It does nothing.
So you want Kevin Owens to duck the number one contender?
It does everything for him.
How does it do anything for him to get squashed in 3 minutes by a guy who hasn't wrestled seriously in over?
That's not what I said. I said if Kevin Owens wins, that does everything for him.
If he wins, it does everything for him, but it won't be believable.
What if they did an Eddie Guerrero Brock Lesnar similar to when Goldberg cost Lesnar the title?
I wouldn't. In that scenario, I really wouldn't give a damn. In that scenario, I really wouldn't give a damn. Because the way I see it is this, and I've said this for years upon years, you expect the guys from today to draw money and draw attention the way the legends did, but you don't want to treat them the same. How does that work? It's retarded.
James, this is the fact of the matter. As long as Vince could squeeze blood out of those stones, he's going to squeeze every drop of blood out of those stones. He's going to squeeze every drop of blood out of Lesnar, Goldberg, The Undertaker.
He's doing long term. He's doing damage to his own business. Long term is what you want to look at as a business. I am not an economist. I don't own my own company. But I do know that if you're a businessman, you're looking at the long term. Long term, what does it do for the company to have Goldberg kill Kevin Owens? I know that long term, it didn't do shit for them to have The Rock beat CM Punk because once The Rock was gone, his ratings and his buy rates went with him. And if anything, after he was gone, they went further down than they were before he came back.
You're all right, but look, okay, let's say that in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, Kevin Owens beats Goldberg clean. What? Can you hear me?
I feel like I'm by an ice cream truck.
What happens? No, I know that's what happens if Kevin Owens beats Goldberg clean. What happends afterwards? Now you
after that you have to continue booking him like a monster.
Now what happens to Goldberg?
What happens to Goldberg? He just made a new talent. His purpose is served. Go home.
And what happens with Goldberg? Now you just the fans want to see that big matchup with Lesnar and Goldberg at WrestleMania.
Frank, do you actually think anyone gives two fucks about that match?
Oh, come on, James. You didn't see the reaction at the Royal Rumble when both of them got in the ring? Everybody scattered and everybody was cheering Goldberg. People still want to see that match. I have to state the facts.
I wanted to see The Undertaker and Sting, but I didn't want to see The Undertaker and Sting kill Bray Wyatt and Baron Corbin. Have your dream matches. That's fine. But you don't use these legends at the expense of the guys that are on the road 300 days a year. I mean, ain't that a slap in the face to them? Isn't that disrespectful?
Yes,
at some point in time, we have to have some sort of accountability here. Because, everyone knows I worship the ground Undertaker walks on. You really think I want to see him hold the title? No. Why? Because his old fucking ass don't deserve it. He had his time. Lay down for a young talent and get the fuck out.
Well, then
and I'm saying that about the fucking Undertaker. Here's your proof.
No, yeah, you're right. But listen, then you could say the same thing about Undertaker and the Streak. Wasn't that taken away from all the attention away from the young guys? When
I don't think that the Streak was taking away from the young guys. I think it was an attraction to be part of the show. And like I've said in the past, if somebody put a gun to my head and said, you have to pick someone to break the streak, Bray Wyatt.
Well, listen, we just talked about it. 2 matches, Undertaker against HBK, 2 matches. Undertaker versus Triple H, 2 matches at WrestleMania. You don't think those matches overshadowed everything else?
That's not his fault that the other guys weren't delivering in the matches. It's not like he was getting in the ring with every young guy on the roster and beating them.
But you're talking about 2 legends. You're talking about 3 legends. HBK.
You realize it is possible for one WrestleMania to have multiple classic matches, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And they did. Didn't Punk and Brock Lesnar go at it in one of those WrestleManias? Or was that SummerSlam?
No, that was SummerSlam. That was SummerSlam.
Which, by the way, was not even the best match of the night.
CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar was the match of the year. Even though the wrong guy won.
My favorite match of the era was Bryan Cena.
Oh, I love Daniel Bryan. Everyone knows I do. He's my 5th favorite of all time. But even I have to give the nod to Brock and Punk. But getting back to what I was saying, and we discussed this and Frank and I discussed this at length in our last video. Yes, the part-timers are important. But at the end of the day, they should not be the long-term business acumen because they have a very limited lifespan. And yes, you use them for what they're worth, but you don't do it in a way that it shits on it. Because what you're doing is you're telling the casual viewer, which is who they give a fuck about, they don't give a shit about you, they don't give a shit about me, and trust me, their booking proves it. They're telling the casual viewers, you should only care about The Undertaker, you should only care about Cena, you should only care about Brock Lesnar, maybe you should care about Roman Reigns, and fuck everybody else. Why then would those people pay money to see those guys? And why would they spend the time to sit in front of their television and watch? And if you actually go by the brass tacks and the meat of it, the numbers, less and less people are watching every 6 months. And that trend has been steadily continuing since 2005. And gee, I wonder why. But remember, I'm wrong. It is what it is.
Well, it's just they're doing different booking now. Like we said in the past, like when Jake the Snake was around, they would build those guys. Whatever, like somebody like Jake the Snake would come into WWE. They would the way they would book them, you would see them every week on TV. They would have squash matches. and then eventually they would fight a mid-card guy, go over on them, and that's how they would build them up. And then eventually they would go up against an upper mid-card guy, and that was the gateway to Hulk Hogan. Now, what they do is, you see the clues. When they bring a guy in that they're going to make a star, their first appearance or their first match, they go over on somebody big, and then they scale them back a little bit, and that's it. And if they don't have plans for you as a superstar, you get lost in the shuffle. Look at Samoa Joe last week. He debuted. What did he do? He took out Seth Rollins, a top guy. The next week, even though it was protected, he took out the Golden Boy Roman Reigns. So that tells you they have plans for Samoa Joe as a serious top star. Jameis, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. That makes a lot of sense.
No, I'm just saying that's the way they do their booking now, and they're never gonna. Besides, well, now Cena doesn't count anymore because now they scaled them back. Besides Roman Reigns now, nobody's going to get that type of booking. Nobody. And that's just the matter. That's just the facts of the matter. James, are you there?
Main event. I don't.
Yeah, let's please get to the main event before my connection cuts out here.
Okay. Go
We had the Elimination Chamber match. To say that I'm happy is an understatement.
Something.
Go ahead.
All of 2014, the Bray Wyatt Cena feud. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wyatt's goal was to ruin Cena's legacy. Am I wrong?
That was
I suppose.
But this is his 16th title reign, the make-or-break legacy-making reign. It lasted 2 weeks and Bray Wyatt beat him. How ironic is that?
Very ironic.
Listen, all that tells you, and it's what I've been saying, is stop making a big deal about the number of title reigns. The number of title reigns is nothing. It's just a gimmick.
I agree.
It's just they gave him 16 because he already came this far. And listen, I got news.
It could have been 10 title reigns. It's the idea of putting him in the same class of a Ric Flair. You're not going to put someone like Chris Webber in the same breath as somebody like a Dikembe Mutombo. You're just not. You're not going to take someone. Let's see, who's a really shitty pitcher, Jameis, right now?
There's a lot of those. Jeff Samardzija.
Okay, you're not going to take someone like him and put him in the same class of Clayton Kershaw. That's ridiculous.
True.
Yeah, but
whenever someone makes the comparison,
that's a bad analogy because this is scripted. They're scripting all.
But there is a difference between a good performer and a bad one. And Ric Flair is a great performer, and Cena's a shitty one.
All right,
you're not going to take Cena and put him in the same performance class as Ricky Steamboat or Barry Windham or Shawn Michaels or Kurt Angle.
But you have people that actually think he's better than all of them, and I think that's a serious problem.
Oh, that's their problem. That's their problem if they don't realize that. You know, look. You have guys like Jameis. Look, guys like Jameis, who whatever, 16. He's an anomaly. Most kids today, that's all they've seen their whole life is John Cena. To them, John Cena is Babe Ruth, and that's the way. That's why WWE promotes him like that. But for us, stop putting all the stock in the number of title reigns. They don't mean shit. Just look, I've said it. Out of all his reigns, Cena's had a 1-year title reign and maybe a 6-month title reign. The other 14 are like a month and a half, 3 months. They mean nothing. All it means is he won the title 16 times and he lost the title 16 times.
It's like I said, I don't really think it's about the number of title reigns. It's about the idea of them putting him in the same class of someone who is way superior to him. That's what it's about.
It's all to sell merchandise, so now he could come out next month and he could have his new T-shirts again with 16 times.
I wouldn't wipe my ass with one.
I wouldn't either. But listen, I got news for you. He'll get number 17 and number 18 before it's all said and done.
Well, probably. I've said many times he's going to have 20 before he retires.
Who cares? It's meaningless.
You know who I wanted to break the record?
What's that, James?
Wait, you know who I wanted to break the record?
Who?
Randy Orton.
See, I wouldn't have even had a problem with Randy Orton because at least Randy Orton's a great performer.
I'm convinced that all around, as a performer, as accomplishments, as a performer, all around.
Let me ask you a question, James.
He will be the GOAT when he retires.
Let me ask you a question, James, because I know you're a classic NWA fan. Could you imagine a match between Randy Orton and Barry Windham?
Oh, the two
Jesus Christ, my hair just stood up.
Ever.
Listen,
Barry Windham, by the words of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby. Barry Windham's the most naturally gifted athlete to ever step into the industry, and Randy ain't that far off. Because when Randy gives a fuck, when he actually gives a fuck,
he's so Chris.
When he reaches into his friggin' tights underneath that raging ring boner, and he finds a fuck to give, he puts on great matches.
Yes. But listen, it's two different eras from Ric Flair's era and this era. When you know how Ric Flair got all those titles, he would be the perpetual champion. He would go to a territory, and like you said, James, he would go up against their top guy, drop the title, and then and then by the end of the week, 7 days later, he'd take the title, he'd win the title back, and leave the territory. That's how he accumulated all those titles.
He had 25 reigns, but only 16 I recognize.
Right. But I'm saying he would hold the title. He was a perpetual champion, and every time he'd go to a territory, he'd get into a feud with the top guy there, lose the title, make that guy a star, and then at the end of the week, he'd win the title back and leave. Today, there's a title match every week, every month. So
no, I understand what you're saying, Frank, but that's the reason a lot of people were sore about it, is because not because he had that many title reigns, because personally I feel that number of title reigns that he's had, it's an indication of how long he's been force-fed. The reason that it's an issue to most of us is because it's them trying to put him in the same class of someone greater than him.
Yeah,
that's all.
They for the longest they were promoting him as the greatest superstar of all time. That's what they're promoting him as. Does it make it true? No.
Not a chance in hell. But the problem is you have some brain dead folks who actually buy into that bullshit.
Or young people. Like I said, look. The
kids get a pass because they don't know any better. But if you're above the age of fucking 17 and you've gone through puberty and you're still calling him the GOAT, get help.
Well, maybe
all I can say is get help.
They just need to watch wrestling.
Trips.
They just need to watch wrestling from yesteryear.
Well,
but anyway, let's get to the Elimination Chamber match.
Yes, please. We started off with AJ. We started off with AJ and Cena. Once again, AJ doing what he does best: not beat up John Cena, carry John Cena.
Yeah, but by the way, I got to tell you, watching them open the match, I said I'm bored. I'm bored of them already. I didn't like their. I
didn't mind it. I felt it made sense.
It's all rushed. It was all rushed, and I just didn't like it. I think it's over for that feud.
I'll agree with James.
Which is a shame. Because that means Cena got the last laugh, as he always does in every rivalry.
AJ lasted longer. What's your point?
No, I'm talking about in their one-on-one rivalry, in their matches against each other, one-on-one. Cena got the last laugh, which he always does.
What do you think people are going to remember? 3 wins or 1 win?
I'm sorry?
What do you think people are going to remember? 3 wins, I just beat you, made you give up, and leave your armband in the ring. I just beat you, and just
they're going to remember Cena beating him and winning his 16th world title more. I'm going to call it as it is. I don't care. I didn't watch the match because I knew it was going to happen. So I didn't watch the match. I sat in my room while all my friends watched that match. I put my hoodie on and I read anime. I didn't want to watch that shit.
Listen,
I watched their SummerSlam match because I thought AJ had a shot.
After last night, now you realize it didn't mean nothing. All it meant was,
and that only pisses me off even more. You took the title off AJ just for the guy that beat him to drop it to somebody else. If anything, AJ should have retained, and he should have dropped it to Bray Wyatt.
In reality, what's that?
Especially if he was in the match where Cena dropped the title. which he was.
But
Yeah.
anyways, it's a dead issue. What happened at the Rumble happened.
If you think about it, they made Cena the transitional champion. That's it.
Which shouldn't have been
You
the
have
record.
you have someone tie Ric Flair. You have someone tie Ric Flair just to make them transitional. I don't get that, and honestly, I don't want to.
James, they just had to get. They had to get it out of the way. Now we'll never. It's
That's something that you and Henry agree with. I disagree. They don't. You in life, you only have to do two things: die and pay taxes. They didn't have to do anything. They could have left him at 15, and no fucks would have been given.
Yeah, but then we would have been waiting for when
we would have been waiting, and when he retires, we would have said, "Oh, thank fucking God, that's over."
Let's just Let's just.
He's The Rock.
So the Elimination Chamber match flowed well. I like the new chamber. What do you guys think of it?
I liked it. It allowed. I feel like the outside portion of the steel gratings allowed for more cool spots. Like they went to the top of the chamber a lot more because it was easier to bump on the floor than it was in the past. So it's like it allowed them to do more, and I really enjoyed that.
And of course, but it's the Elimination Chamber in the PG era, so I mean, they could have taken too many crazy bumps. Who impressed you? Who impressed you the most last night, James?
Honestly, you're going to be shocked. Baron Corbin and The Miz.
Okay.
Miz is my pick too.
No, I'm not saying he's my favorite. In that match, it was a tie between AJ and Bray Wyatt. I would have been happy with either one winning the match.
But I wanted.
But, you know.
Wasn't Baron Corbin eliminated first?
Yes, he was, but it was a fluke way that he got eliminated because it was also to set up him and Ambrose for the IC title. Thank God the IC title is not going to be in a multi-man match.
That needs to be the cruiserweight.
I agree. The cruiserweights should be in the multi-man ladder match. And if you throw guys in there like Neville and Austin Aries, Jesus.
Gallagher. Like,
Jesus Christ,
Gallagher could do a lot of unique things as a ladder. Like, you see what he's done with an umbrella so far.
Oh,
give him a ladder. I'd be entertained.
Jack Gallagher, I find him very entertaining. But
he's my favorite cruiserweight.
I thought they protected AJ last night, of course, because he was there from the start and he was hurt when he finally got when it got down to him and Wyatt. And I really liked the chemistry between Bray Wyatt and AJ.
Oh yeah.
I think.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. When Bray Wyatt pinned John Cena 100% clean, I lost my fucking shit. Because I was sitting with my sister and all my buddies because we took a break from D&D because my sister was jumping up and down like crazy thinking Bray Wyatt had a shot at winning the belt. Because let's be honest, anyone that's been a fan of Bray Wyatt for as long as he's been around, we've been getting abused along with them because we got to watch him go through all this crap.
Right. All right. So hold on, James. I'm just being devil's advocate. So for guys like Nick Durst, they're gonna say, "See, Cena put Bray Wyatt over clean."
Nick Durst made my list.
Well, what I'm gonna say to Nick Durst is, why the fuck didn't he do it when the guy actually had some steam? And of course, he's gonna have nothing. You know, listen. What I found funny about that whole thread that he did. Every single person that responded to that thread took him to task. Even guys like Joe, who's been my friend since 2006, who never really gets mad at anybody. Even he, Valenti.
No?
He never gets mad at anyone, even me, and I know I'm a pain in the ass. Believe me, I know I am. Sometimes I'm one on purpose because people deserve it. But for him to get annoyed, to me, that said everything. And I've had so many people come up to me and say, why do you even let him on that page? He's a troll.
Oh, Nick Durst?
Yes.
No, he's not.
A lot of people feel he's a troll.
Yeah.
Because the way, and I'm not going to divulge the name because I don't need problems. One of my friends turned around and said, he's either that dumb or he's playing the biggest troll job out of anyone. Because he has said things like Bray Wyatt has no talent, Dolph Ziggler has no talent, The Undertaker's entrance is boring.
Wait, what?
Vince McMahon should never listen to the fans. He has said all 4 of those fucking things. He's either a dumb shit or a troll. It's one or the other.
Well,
that's what I've been told. That's what I've been told. And the reason I keep him on the page, I don't mind a dissenting opinion. I don't mind it.
Well, he likes to give the unpopular opinion, so.
Well, if that's the case, then you're just being. If you believe that, then say it.
Yeah,
if you're just,
not for the sake of
being different for the sake of being different. You're not really serving any purpose.
But listen, hold on now. So we got to Wyatt.
When Cena got eliminated, I lost my shit because then I realized something. Either way, I'm going to be happy with the outcome of this match.
Right. So like I said, when they were alone together, 1-on-1,
the place went nuts. The place went nuts.
If I'm honest.
Listen, AJ is so over, and he's gonna turn face now.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, because he's gonna feud with Bray Wyatt.
Oh God, I'll lose my shit if we get that feud.
Listen, you saw it last night. That's the clues. If I saw the chemistry, don't you think they saw the chemistry? They have incredible chemistry. They're gonna have a great feud, hopefully until I don't know about until SummerSlam, but at least for the next 3 months. They protected AJ. They kept telling you the story that he was tired and he was really hurt. And then, Bray just caught him with Sister Abigail, which it
looked like they didn't find that sequence exactly as they wanted to, but AJ sold the fuck out of that move.
Yeah, no, the last move.
Can I be honest?
Go ahead.
Y'all said something about how y'all would have been happy with either outcome.
Yeah, I would have been happy with either guy winning the title because I feel AJ has been the MVP of the WWE for the last year, and I felt that Bray Wyatt was long overdue.
I agree with those statements, but here's my issue with that. AJ is my favorite current wrestler, but if he would have won the title back after dropping to Cena 2 weeks earlier, because it would have made 0 sense and it would have just been...
I understand what you're saying, but... To know that I had 2 guys at the very end of this match, 2 guys that I know are talented, 2 guys that I know have produced, 2 guys that I know for a fact that no matter who wins, that crowd's going to go home happy.
Yeah,
I had no problem with either. And when Bray Wyatt got the 3 count in the win, that place exploded. And I believe, Durst said that it was crickets. When the term you're looking for is fireflies, because there was hundreds of them. In the crowd.
People were excited to see something new. And like I said, it made sense to put it on Bray because now AJ can always come back and get the belts whenever he wants, whatever he has to be. So I liked it. I loved it. That last move, that last move when AJ came off the ropes and Wyatt caught him into the Sister Abigail, it was a little botched, but that's okay.
Everyone saw that was botched, but I think the fans were so excited that Bray won, they didn't give a fuck.
It's okay. I'll give that Elimination Chamber match I'll give it a 7.
7 out of 10?
You can pull a Tyler and give it out of 100.
What?
You can pull a Tyler and give it out of 100.
Oh God! Yeah, what's that?
Tyler's a little over the top sometimes, but I find him funny.
75 out of 100.
I agree.
Hey, listen, 75 out of 100 ain't fucking bad.
It's 7.5 out of 10. Why do you have to add zeros to it?
There you go. Let me tell you something. Tyler. To see that happen, and to see the crowd happy, I actually saw people jumping up and down and hugging that this guy won.
It's something new.
And not John Cena.
Yeah, it's something. Listen, they're happy because it's something new. They're happy because Bray has been, he's been in a way the underdog for so long. But now, listen, they gave him the title. They're giving him the push, so there's no more excuses. It's put up or shut up.
Well,
and I think he leaves WrestleMania the champion.
Well, that's another thing that we do before we close up tonight. Goldberg and Brock is a lock, and now it looks like it's going to be for the Universal title.
We'll see. It's
because
Kevin Owens and Jericho, because what I just heard from my friend Joe Valenti, shout out to you, Joe. he just told me that Kevin Owens just turned on Chris Jericho and beat the fuck out.
And destroyed him. So what you do now is you have Jericho interfere in that match so he can get a title match with KO.
Listen, you could have like Jameis mentioned.
Now, if Jericho's gonna fuck Kevin Owens out of the Universal title, I can live with that because then it doesn't look like Kevin Owens just got bitched out. That I can live with.
Or like Jameis said, maybe Brock Lesnar interferes in the Goldberg Kevin Owens match. And
no, I understand, but then Jericho's the U.S. champion. What are they gonna do? Title for title?
Maybe drop it at Fastlane to Sami Zayn.
Yeah, Jericho. Yeah. Maybe Kevin Owens causes Jericho to lose the title, whatever, and then you have Kevin Owens versus Jericho for the title at WrestleMania, which is a match a lot of people want to see. I think
I have no problem with Kevin Owens versus Jericho for the Universal titles. Guy, I have zero problem with that because I feel that the feud's been building up long enough. You know, the time is right to do it at WrestleMania, and hopefully, unlike last year, Kevin Owens, unlike last year, Jericho does the job, which I'm sure he will, because Jericho don't mind losing.
Yeah, well,
Jericho's to get one more reign.
Jericho's going to leave very soon. He's got to go on tour with Fozzy, so
I want Jericho to lead one more reign for Jericho.
Yeah, maybe Vince gives him the title at WrestleMania as a reward for his great work over the last year.
Can we say that Jericho goes in the same class of The Undertaker in terms of constantly reinventing himself? Because I think he belongs.
Yeah, Jericho. He's a first. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's awesome. I've enjoyed him since the WCW days. When he was
calling Goldberg Greenberg.
Yeah, he was hilarious. Listen, Jericho was stealing.
Ralphus.
Yeah, there was a point in time when Jericho was stealing the show on WCW. Like his segments would steal the show. But he's great. He's great. He's one of the best in-ring workers. He's entertaining as hell. He's all
right. Now to end the night, well, I'll ask all three of you, and I'll start with Jameis. Jameis, what is your favorite incarnation of Chris Jericho?
Probably when he first came in and was the sexist and his feud of China. I just thought that work was so fantastic, and I love Chris Jericho. He's about to replace my number 10 on my all-time favorite list. So it's like
Jameis has an official all-time top 10. Jameis, maybe later on tonight you could post it on the page, and everyone can give their top 10s.
I will do, sir.
Would you be okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Sounds good to me. Frank, what's your favorite incarnation of Chris Jericho?
I love Jericho when he was in WCW. If he would have stood and that company was run right, he would have kept getting pushed. I think when he left, he graduated to the U.S. title. He was going up against Booker T. He was funny in WCW. That was his funniest ever, I think. And he had great matches.
Victim.
What's that?
Conspiracy victim Chris Jericho was amazing.
I would love when he would walk through the crowd and somebody would have like Monday Night Jericho and he'd like be happy. Then he'd just grab the side and rip it up.
Yeah, because he was just a great villain, and now
he'd say, "Stop patronizing me."
For me, I mean, it's tough because he's had so many great incarnations, but I have to say that gimmick he came up with in 2008, using the big words and the suits, and the No Country for Old Men.
Yeah,
that Jericho.
Right, that was he based it off.
Someone had to mention that.
It was just some of the best work he was. He was the most unlikable person. It's like Triple H in 2000. Everyone hated Triple H.
Yeah.
He retired Mick Foley. He was beating the hell out of The Rock. He had Stone Cold Steve Austin run over. He fucked the boss's daughter against her will, or at least we thought. But Jericho in 2008, middle to late 2008, that guy was on fire.
Yeah, that character, he said it was off the villain from No Country for Old Men, Anton Chigurh. And if you watch that movie, that guy was sick.
I've never seen it.
It's a great movie. That was one of that character is one of the most sickest characters in recent history, and he said it was a mix of that and a mix of Nick Bockwinkel.
Nick Bockwinkel from the AWA.
Yeah.
Love Nick Bockwinkel.
Yeah, that's why he. That's why he
you know
had big words.
You know who Nick Bockwinkel said was the greatest ring general he ever saw?
What was that?
Jerry the King Lawler.
Some say Jerry the King Lawler is one of the best. Some say Jerry the King is one of the best workers of all time.
I've been told I met a couple of wrestlers in my lifetime. I met Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette's one of my favorite personalities in wrestling. I hope one day he gets the Hall of Fame nod. He deserves it. He told me that in Jerry Lawler's day, when he was the king and in Memphis, he was the Stone Cold of his era. Because he was that over, he made a ton of money in Memphis.
Yeah, he sold out Memphis for years. And he was one of the first guys to get mainstream publicity for wrestling in 1982 against the comedian Andy Kaufman. That was, I mean, come on.
That was a huge deal.
They made a movie out of that.
Andy Kaufman needs to be a celebrity inductee.
What's that?
Andy Kaufman should be a celebrity inductee. That's what Jameis said.
Yeah.
All of these celebrities, and the two most influential celebrities in wrestling history are not in.
Listen, if you want,
Andy Kaufman, Cyndi Lauper.
Mike Tyson is in, and so is Mr. T. But I think the people that they're missing Liberace, and they're missing Muhammad Ali.
They're missing Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper's not in? I thought she was in.
Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't want to go in. But the story with Andy Kaufman was he was good friends with Freddie Blassie, and they made a documentary, Breakfast with Blassie, and Andy Kaufman pitched the idea to Freddie Blassie to bring Jerry the King Lawler in there to WWE, and Vince's father he turned it down. He didn't like the idea of a celebrity wrestling.
Yeah, they didn't warm up to that. They didn't warm up to the celebrity stuff yet.
Yeah, and if you go on YouTube, you could check out the appearance with Jerry the King Lawler on Letterman with Andy Kaufman.
Can you send me that?
Smacking Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, listen. At that time, people didn't know if that was a work or a shoot. That's how good it was. People didn't know if that was a work or a shoot. I don't think Letterman knew if it was a work or a shoot.
The best angles in wrestling are the ones that blur that, is it real or was that real? Was that a shoot? Was that a little bit of realism? That's why I feel that storylines like, the NWO felt real because there were a lot of guys jumping ship. The CM Punk. When he first cut that pipe on, of course it was believable because a lot of the shit that he said was how the audience, the Daniel Bryan versus the Authority, it felt real because, the perception was that WWE didn't think that highly of Daniel Bryan. And luckily, CM Punk blew the whistle on that. They actually didn't.
But just to add that Andy Kaufman character, that I think that was one of the greatest heels in the history.
Oh, he was beating up women. Of course he was.
But the way he would antagonize people, how he started paying wrestlers to beat up Jerry Lawler, and then when Jerry the King broke his neck from pile driver, he sued him, and it spilled over to Letterman. I mean, that
was great stuff.
But
anyway, let's wrap it up. That's going to do it for now. But what I would like to announce here on the page. And I haven't even spoken about this with Frank yet, but I'm sure Frank's not going to mind. One of our videos in the future, I would like for us to compile a top 25 best professional wrestlers of all time.
Frank, we'd have to make three or four parts with that.
If we got it, we will. But I would like to do a top 25 best pro wrestlers of all time, and whoever wants to come on with us is more than welcome. I'm going to start working on that list.
Best is a bit.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Listen, you would have to make 5 parts, 5 divided 25, and you'd have to make the list before you start the video. Before you make the series, you have to make the list.
Of course we're going to write.
What I'm saying is, you can't have the list without the list.
No, get out of here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, after that little promotion, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for myself, for Frank, and for our friend Jameis. We're happy you were on with us. You're welcome
Thank you for
anytime.
having me.
Until next episode.
Did you like your experience on Talk Wrestling with Jimmy and Frank?
I loved it, bro.
All right.
Talk Wrestling with Jimmy and Frank. Drink it in, man. That'll do it for us tonight. Until next time, take care, guys.